They say Tuscany moves at its own pace. What they don't tell you is, it's very bad at keeping up with yours. We landed running, like we could somehow outwalk jet lag and culture shock.
Spoiler, we couldn't.
Between treacherous regional roads, endless roundabouts, and a GPS with the confidence of a pathological liar, we started our Tuscany trip deeply humbled and very jet-lagged. So we just got to our agriturismo, and it took us a little bit of time because apparently the roads in Tuscany are terrifying.
Super windy, and the other drivers drive fast.
But
We made it.
we made it, safe and sound.
In one piece for today. Our agriturismo is really cute. It's a little bit more rustic than we had planned for, but it's really cute. It's very nice.
Yeah, and the view is actually incredible.
Phenomenal.
Like, we'll show you a lot more as we can. We're surrounded by flies and mosquitoes at the moment. Oops. It's hard to fall in love with Tuscany when you can't keep your eyes open. We checked into our agriturismo. Beautiful and charming in that old stone farmhouse kind of way. Until we realized rustic charm sometimes means no coffee machine or even a kettle.
And if you operate on copious amounts of caffeine like we do, you'll know how terrifying that feels.
By the way, if you've never stayed in an agriturismo, it's basically a farmhouse stay. Agriturismos are part working farm, part bed and breakfast. They're typically quieter and usually much more affordable than a hotel. And you get that whole Tuscan countryside experience. But as we learned on this trip, amenities can be hit or miss depending on the place.
Florence is one of those places where every corner has some kind of history attached to it. Art, architecture, something important someone did hundreds of years ago. It's a lot to take in, especially when you're still just waking up. If it's your first time here, don't try to do everything in one day. Most of the major spots are pretty close together, but it's way more enjoyable when you're not sprinting between them. Because of just how jet-lagged we were, we ended up missing quite a few things in Florence. So a big tip from us would be, remember to account for jet lag when you're building your itinerary.
So, we just did a quick photo shoot because we're romantic. And what are we doing next?
We're gonna go up to the Piazza Michelangelo?
Piazzale Michelangelo?
Piazzale?
Michelangelo,
Are you
right?
sure? Piazzale?
No. Piazzale Michelangelo? No, does that not sound right?
It doesn't sound right to me.
Okay, we're going to go up there for the sunset.
Yes. You're the one who speaks Italian. You should know the name. It's hard to fall in love with history when you can't keep your eyes open. Also, if you're planning to go for sunset, just know it gets busy. If you can, get there at least 30 to 40 minutes early. And if you're driving into Florence, parking can be a headache. We recommend parking at the Villa Costanza Parcheggio. There's plenty of space, it's cheap, and you can take the tram into Florence's center. You should be renting a car if you're planning to travel around Tuscany. If you're just in Florence, you're fine without one. But to make the most of Tuscany, having your own car is the best way to go.
I don't see the fascination.
I see it, kind of.
I really don't.
It's hard to fall in love with anything when you can't keep your eyes open.
But maybe that's the magic of Florence. It doesn't need your energy to impress you. It's been dazzling people for centuries. You can just be another exhausted admirer.
After dinner, we spent the evening wandering aimlessly.
Which, in a city like Florence, is basically just sightseeing.
At night, Florence feels completely different. The crowds disappear, everything slows down, and you can actually move around without getting stuck behind 10 tour groups. It's much easier to enjoy the city once everyone's gone. We were supposed to start the day bright and early, exploring San Gimignano. But jet lag had other plans. Tuscany's size doesn't forgive late mornings, even if you take the autostrada. We slept right through our alarms and ended up starting the day in the early afternoon. We finally dragged ourselves out of bed and headed to our cooking class.
So, we're in the San Gimignano area right now at an Agriturismo di Olmo, I believe it's called. And we're here for a cooking and wine class. And the reason we picked this one was mostly the view, which we just discovered we don't get all of while we're actually at the cooking class. But it's okay, we're making the most of it, and it still looks like it's going to be a fun time.
We spent the afternoon learning how to make pasta, chicken cacciatore, a raspberry tart, and focaccia at Montese Cooking Experience. And for the first time on this trip, we actually slowed down. After all, when your hands are full of dough, there's not much else you can hold on to.
Ooh, very long.
Very long, yeah.
Perfetto. Flour. We need more flour. Otherwise, when you cut it, it will stick.
Okay.
I honestly didn't expect to enjoy a cooking class this much, but it was one of the most memorable parts of our trip. I'd actually say it's a must-do. If you're interested, we've added a link in the video description.
We talked, we cooked, and somewhere between the flour and the laughter, Tuscany started to make sense. Maybe it's not meant to be conquered through rigid scheduling. Maybe it's meant to be savored.
We're currently taking a little break during our cooking lesson, which is going really well, actually. It's a lot of fun. But we wanted to point out that that's actually San Gimignano in the distance. Really far, you can see the towers, and that's how close or far it is from where we are. And I think it looks really cool on the horizon, just the towers right there. You could miss it or you could not. Thought that was really cool.
And there, across the vineyards, San Gimignano's towers watched over us like ghosts of every tourist who had come before. Equally lost, equally enchanted.
Also, wine. Good wine. A little good wine helps you discover a lot about life.
Evening fell, and despite being full of pasta, we didn't want to miss San Gimignano. Sadly, footage is scarce. Turns out, darkness is a very cruel editor. If you want to explore San Gimignano properly, go during the day. At night, it's beautiful, but you honestly can't see too much, and many of the shops close early.
An exception, however, is Gelateria Dondoli. It's one of the most famous gelato shops in the world, and the lineups during the day can get ridiculous. But at night, it's way more manageable.
So, we're in San Gimignano and we have visited the world famous Gelateria Dondoli. And I was just Englished for the first time, which hurt my confidence a little bit. If you don't know what English is, it's when you try to speak Italian and they respond to you in English because Italian's so bad.
I heard that.
And I've been doing pretty well so far, but there you go. Reality check.
She Englished him.
She was lovely though. Yeah.
It felt slightly poetic somehow, us trying to blend in, Tuscany politely refusing.
But when Tuscany, through history, a sunset, or a perfectly cooked plate of pasta, finally nudges your eyes open, you realize it was never trying to impress you. It was waiting for you to catch up by slowing down.
Thanks so much for watching. We're Riz and Reem. On Travel and Chai, we share cozy, comfortable, and sometimes slightly chaotic travel stories. If that sounds like your vibe, stick around. And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Okay?
So we're currently in... No, start again.